All right. So I saw this story and it says a new wave of inflation and disruptions hits US factory floors. And if you go and read the article, it talks about a company that needs a form of raw material called pig iron, which is in short supply because at least part of it is sourced from the Ukraine. And I'm not going to talk about that part of it because when I read that story, I actually see something quite different. So if you wanted a hot take on high inflation and commodities and all the stuff, well, sadly, you come to the wrong place. However, it is important in the sense that when I read that story, I was telling our team, which said it made me think of the early days of COVID. Now, if you remember back to March and April of 2020, when the lockdowns were being implemented and restaurants just had to shut down. And at that moment in time, the vast majority of restaurants really had limited online ordering, limited. And just 2 years later, I can tell you that certainly every restaurant that I go to, they have online ordering, they have takeout, they have integrated their businesses with delivery apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats. In other words, COVID digitally transformed their businesses, and they are completely different today. If you were to do a survey, and I have seen surveys, there are restaurants that now generate nearly 70% of all of their orders through digital services, meaning someone is either going on to their website and ordering through an app, or using a delivery service. In other words, in 2 years, there's been a radical transformation of this business. So when I was reading the story about disruption and inflation on the factory floor, you know what I thought? Well, I thought that this business could really use to hire people that really know how to operate 3D printers. Because if you read the story, you'll see in it really the upsides of using 3D printers versus the old school manufacturing style, which is where you have to buy a lot of raw material and you've got to have some pretty large customers, and you make things in big bulk because your costs otherwise simply don't work. I mean, in other words, you've got to make things in a fairly large batch. And without that, it's not worth really running your plant, your factory, your operation. You contrast that to a 3D printer. A 3D printer uses just a tiny, tiny smidge of any commodity, even a metal or a plastic, a tiny amount. It's customized, so you don't need to have a very large order to be able to actually fulfill that order. And then if you make a small mistake, you don't face a huge loss. You can just go back and correct that one mistake and print it, and then you can produce it anywhere. One of the issues raised in the article is that the employer is struggling to keep employees because many of them drive from over an hour away, and with high gas prices, many of them do carpooling. And if one person decides they don't want to go, it forces the other person to quit. So this business is facing the kind of struggle that restaurants were in March or April of 2020. And there is a solution that is available. 3D printing is one that would allow for them to, again, accept smaller orders, fulfill in real time without needing a giant amount of some commodity that's in short supply, whose price has spiked up. And the point of bringing this up is that I believe that in the US, manufacturing in the United States is about to go through a radical transformation, just like the restaurant business did in March, April of 2020, when people were forced to really change. And between the supply chain disruptions, which caused this business, I'm sure, lots of orders, and now the inflation of raw materials, a number of these businesses are going to pivot and think that, hey, the old way is really no longer possible. which is that we're going to have to do something in a new way. And what are the solutions that are available? Because for sure, the owner of this business talks about how he's losing orders as a result of not being able to get this pig iron commodity, not being able to get his employees to come in to work. And as you might know, 3D printers can be operated remotely. You don't need to be there necessarily to operate them. So I believe that what is going to happen is that clients of this business are eventually going to search out and find, well, who can fulfill on my order? I need 100 parts today and I need 100 parts next week. I don't need like 10,000 all at once. And I believe they're going to come to people that have implemented 3D printing, that have implemented other America 2.0 and fourth industrial revolution technologies. So this is unfolding, folks, even though the prices of the stocks of 3D printing companies that we have in our portfolio, 3D Systems, Stratasys, Proto Labs, across our premium services, we've got even more. These folks in the background are seeing more and more people adopt the solution, which means the orders are accumulating. And in the quarters to come, you are going to see that their sales are going to keep rising and rising. And for sure, you're going to see Wall Street investors come in and start to bid these up. And it will be slowly at first. However, in 6 months, in 9 months, in 1 year, in 2 years, you're going to see the stocks of these companies that make 3D printers, that use 3D printers like Proto Labs and others, you're going to see them rocket higher. Now, that's my opinion. I'm not guaranteeing it. That's my opinion. It's not advice. But this is why we're sticking with our 3D printing stocks. And I would tell you that these things have gotten hammered even as their adoption is rocketing up, as their use is rocketing up. And I believe as we're about to go through a radical transformation in how we do things as a result of this inflation that's out there. And which goes to a broader point that I want to make, which is that for everything that you read in the financial media that is designed to make you panic, whether it be high oil prices, high food prices, lack of people to come in and work, there is an America 2.0 fourth industrial revolution solution like 3D printing that is ready, that is available, that can be scaled up. And it doesn't need, 10 more years of development. I mean, these are things that are ready to go. Like we can go, just like digital ordering was ready to go when restaurants needed it. Manufacturing, 3D printing is there. It's there for you. And I believe you are going to see that in 3, 6, 9 months, more and more people tell you that they adopted it. So bottom line, it's been very, very tough. I just want to say like, hey, it's been a tough time. However, the rewards of sitting through this are going to be huge, just absolutely huge. I can see our portfolios, not just 3D printing stocks, but our fourth industrial revolution, America 2.0 portfolios, which is all of our stocks, just keep going up for years and years and years to come. So be strong hands, be bullish, be optimistic, be positive. I am. So be BOP and come back next week. Until then, this is Paul saying bye.